I, the undersigned, being the Deputy Returning Officer for the constituency of Fermanagh and South Tyrone, hereby give notice that the total number of votes given for each of the candidates at the election was as follows. Carron, Owen Gerard, 31,278. Close, Seamus Anthony, 1,930. Green, Martin Patrick, 249. Hall Raleigh Simon, 90. McGuinness Kenneth, 29,048. Moore Thomas Oliver, 1,132. I hereby declare Mr. Owen Carron duly elected.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like first of all to express my thanks to the returning officer, Mr. Patterson, and his staff. On behalf of the political prisoners of war in the H blocks and in Armagh jail, I accept this victory. And I would like to thank the 31,000 nationalist voters of Fermanagh and South Tyrone who stood shoulder to shoulder behind the prisoners and who, in spite of mass intimidation and harassment from the RUC and UDR and from the undemocratic bully boys of loyalists, despite that intimidation, the nationalist people have stood where they have always stood, behind the prisoners. And no matter about the bully boys of loyalists or UDR, we have proved today that we're never lying down and that the nationalist people, cruppies, are not lying down anymore. And as we stand here today, we make a promise that these undemocratic people who are in our midst and who have for 60 years held this country to ransom, we will ensure that in the coming years that the settlement to the H-block crisis is inevitable and that Margaret Thatcher's unjust and brutal policy in the H-blocks will be brought to an end. And despite the McCuskers in our midst, we will be victorious. Victory! Victory to the prisoners in the H-blocks.
Owen Carron, you are now elected to speak on behalf of the hunger strikers. Do you not think that they should call off the fast and allow you to pursue their campaign outside the prison?
I was elected in support of the hunger strikers. I was elected in support of the 5 demands, and it is my job to stand by those demands and to pressurise the British government into granting those demands.
But from your knowledge and your meeting with the hunger strikers, would you not now feel that it would be sensible for them to call off the hunger strike?
I work from the premise of supporting the hunger strikers. I am not here to put pressure on the hunger strikers. I am here to put pressure on the British government because they are the only persons who can solve the H-block crisis, and they can solve it easily tonight or tomorrow morning by granting the 5 demands.
There are widespread allegations of electoral malpractice in this election. What is your answer to those allegations?
Well, there were plenty of loyalist impersonation in the Dungannon area. I know of 6 instances of where loyalist or unionist polling agents had nationalist voters arrested for casting their own vote.
They would claim that they know of hundreds of instances of your supporters trying to impersonate people.
I can say the same. It's as simple as this. There was massive intimidation and harassment by the RUC and UDR. The village of Rusley in County Fermanagh was sealed off by RUC and nationalist voters prevented from going to the polls for quite a long time. I myself was delayed for over an hour by UDR last night on a tour of the booths in County Fermanagh.
You are now in the political arena. Do you think that you have a moral duty to be open and honest about whether you support the terrorist campaign of the IRA?
I have been elected on the basis of the 5 demands. I have not
Yes,
been
but you are
standing.
now a public representative. Do you not
Right.
think that
The
you
major-
should be honest and say
the
whether you
major-
support the IRA?
The major part of violence in this country is created and maintained in this country by Britain and by the state in this
Leaving
country.
that aside,
That
you've,
is
you've made that point, Mr.
The
Carron.
point, the
Will
point
you not
is this.
now say
No,
whether
the
you
point
support the
is this.
IRA?
The point is this, that all other violence in this country is a counter to the state violence, and that is the violence that must be condemned, because it's from the state that the lead should be taken. Now, let us
Do you
not get
condemn terrorist violence as well?
the terrorists are the UDR, the RUC, the people who shoot little children on the streets of Belfast with plastic bullets, and those terrorists wear a uniform, a British uniform. Those are the terrorists in our midst.
Having condemned them, Mr. Carron, do you not feel that as a representative of the people you should go on and condemn the violence which undoubtedly does
As I
come
said,
from the
all
IRA?
other violence is a counter to the violence of the so-called security forces. That is the violence that must be condemned, and I am not entering into an argument regarding any other violence.